Now, I'd like to introduce you to our special guest, Jen Holden. Jen is someone I've known a long time, both outside of the practice of law. And she has also worked with our clients. She recently did a great job selling a house for one of our clients who was going through probate, sold the family home, clients could not have been happier or more pleased with what she did. And in that process, came to mind that, she'd be someone really great to talk to our clients about selling a house, what you would need to do, whether it's this year, next year, thinking about it. As you can see on the screen here, Jen is a top realtor here in Anne Arundel County. She's been featured on the cover of Chesapeake Real Producers magazine. I don't personally get it, but I heard it's great. I'm sure the cover was fantastic. She's ranked among the top 50 realtors in Annapolis. She's built the #1 small Coldwell Banker real estate team in the Mid-Atlantic and has over $43 million in team sales this year. I personally know Jen and her team. They are great people, great to work with. I got a sneak peek yesterday of what Jen's going to say, and just I think it's going to be really, really good to listen to. So, Jen, how are you tonight?
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Fantastic. I am doing great. The one thing that Greg did not say about me is that I love real estate. My husband, when I practiced with him on my presentation, he said, "You need more stories." And I said, "I can tell stories all day long, but I'm going to try to keep this very short and to the point so that in case you have questions, you can ask me and I'll be more than happy to tell you any number of stories." So you want me to go ahead and share my...
Absolutely. I'll hide away and you can take it over, Jen.
Perfect. All right, great. Thank you. Real estate in 2022, similar to what Greg was talking about with updates in my corner of the world, I wanted to talk about what you might want to know if it's been a while. So by comparison, here's my example. I learned how to ski 20 years ago. It was all about my cute outfit. There was no such thing as, looking up a website. If I wanted to know if the place had a lift ticket or was open, I had to go to the slopes and look for myself. And all I cared about was how fast I could ski and how much fun I could have. So let's flash forward to this past weekend when I went to Vermont. I have every piece of gear imaginable. I have, the right skis. I have a helmet. I have every kind of crazy piece of technology. I can put a camera on my head and record everything I do. I can look at my phone app and see how many miles I skied. But what I want out of the experience is different too. So all those things are going to change over the years. And I wanted to kind of give you a little bit of an overview of what the world's like in real estate if you haven't been in it for a while. So here's your 2022 update. So I wanted to give you first talk about if you're selling your home, and then if you are planning to buy a home, what's the state of the real estate market? So there's 4 main things I want you to keep in mind as a seller right now. The first thing is the inventory, meaning the number of homes for sale, is historically low. You would literally have to triple the number of houses for sale right now to even get close to a balanced market, which is where you have an equal number of buyers and sellers. The second thing is that homeowners have recorded record high equity gains. So between last year and this year, you literally went up 31% in the amount of equity that you have. The next thing is that home prices are going to continue to climb this year. We had, a record increase in home prices last year. That's kind of tied to inflation. The basic agreement this year is somewhere between 5 and 8%. So sometimes there's a little bit of fear that we're going to have a crash. I don't think that that's true at all. I think you'll see more modest price appreciation. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the number of buyers out there looking for their next home has not slacked off at all. So what does that mean for your plans to move? There's 3 important things if you're thinking of selling. Number 1, you have to know where you're going. Number 2, have a good idea of how long it will take and what's the process like now. So you can create any plan you want. You've never been more in the driver's seat than you are right now. You could choose to sell your home first and rent something while you look for your next home, or build a home in a different state. You could say, listen, I want to get everything ready. then go out searching for my house. And then as soon as I put that new house under contract, I want to go ahead and sell my house really fast. So you can do what you want. The important part is you need to make a plan. Oops. As far as timing goes, you may honestly sell your house in a weekend or two. This used to be a long-term relationship. I would get to know a seller really well. We would check in all the time. I actually had a form I would fill out to send to them every week. How many showings? What was the feedback? What's my recommendation and my plan for the week to come? Now it may very well be one weekend, and you may very well need to plan to go stay with someone else for the weekend because you may have 25 showings. But again, all of this taken together means that you are absolutely in control of the process as the home seller. So let's talk a little bit about who these people are that will be going through your house. The home buyer of today is used to doing everything online. They want instant information. They watch a ton of home shows on TV. And so their expectation is for a modern move-in ready home. The other thing to keep in mind is that millennials right now remain the largest group of home buyers. And those are the people around age 26 to around age 41. So what this means is things like great quality pictures are really important, videos, even 3D models of your home. Buyers like to know when you've made major updates, what life is like in your neighborhood. The big question here that I always get is, what do I have to do to get my home ready, right? Move-in ready condition is super important. A buyer who says they're willing to paint and do carpet and whatever, it may mean that in their heart, but when it comes down to it, they're going to make an offer on a move-in ready home first. And I could talk for hours about how to get your home ready, but just keep in your mind, move-in ready condition is very, very important. So you show your house, it is 25 showings, you get 4 offers, and now you're under contract. What's different about being under contract than it used to be? The first thing is that even if you sell your home as is, your buyer will still want to do an inspection. And inspections today are intense. Full septic inspection, full well and water quality inspection if you have that, meaning they'll put a camera down in your septic tank and run it through the line. And the inspectors have all kinds of tools now. They have little rovers that can go walk around your crawl space. They have moisture meters that they'll put on the wall to find leaks. And they even have drones with cameras that will fly over your roof and find out what's going on up there. So that can be a little bit of a surprise if you haven't been through anything like that. On the flip side, appraisals have less impact today. If you list your house for $475,000 and someone offers you $500,000, the house needs to appraise for $500,000 for your buyer to get that loan. But more and more sellers are saying, listen, it's up to you as the buyer to come up with what they call the gap between the 475 and 500 if the home appraises a little bit low. So that's much less of a concern than it used to be. The other thing is that, again, because you're in control of the process, you may be able to do something called a rent back, meaning you close on your house tomorrow and you ask to stay in the house after you sell it. The buyer becomes your landlord, and that gives you some logistical time to buy your new place, move in, get the house cleaners to come in without stressing out or feeling like you're living out of a car for a day or two. One little minor point about the contract process that I did want to bring up is watch out for buyers who have a home to sell. They do not always put this in the contract today because they think that they can sell it really quickly without telling you about it. But if they're financing, if their bank loan depends on the home sale, you may find yourself a week from closing with a contract that's about to fall through because they haven't sold their home yet or something went wrong with their home sale. So that's a question you want to ask regardless of whether they offer that up or not. So finally, as a seller, the biggest, most important thing is to know your bottom line. And so what we use for that is something that's called a seller's net sheet. And we add up your charges and your credits, including your mortgage, taxes, real estate fees, and all those kind of things. And that's very important to understand before you go into the process from the very beginning. One little tiny thing is if you are planning to move out of state before you sell your Maryland residence, please be aware there's something we used to call the Ocean City tax, which is where out-of-state sellers or out-of-state owners were purchasing condos in Ocean City, and there were so many of them, and that the state never got the taxes owed to them, that they do hold an 8% of your proceeds. And that's just to make sure that you file that tax return. So once you do that, the money comes back, but that can give you a little bit of heart palpitations if you weren't expecting that to come. So it's not a huge concern, just something to keep in the back of your mind. All right, so you've sold your house, everything's great, but now you have to put on the shoes of a buyer, and let's talk about what the real estate market is like for a home buyer. And this is the brutal, honest truth. I could sugarcoat this, but if you don't remember anything else, keep these things in mind. Homes are selling fast. You will have to go see them as soon as they come on the market, and you will have to be prepared for competition. If you say, people say, I don't want to get in a bidding war, you're going to be waiting a long time to find something. If you don't remember anything else I say today, please remember, no home sale contingency. What that means is I can't make an offer on Greg's house and say, Greg, I'll buy your house as soon as I sell mine. You just need to wait for me to sell it. Greg's never going to do that because there are 4 other people lined up behind me who don't have a house to sell or who aren't putting that contingency on. So please don't plan on that. Strategize with me, strategize with your realtor on how to avoid that. Also, please remember, I know we all like to think that we can find a bargain, and nobody's going to work harder than me to find you one. But I'm telling you, the vast majority of my experience, if you have competition, if there's more than one offer on a home, you will be paying full price or more. Sometimes it takes people a while to be comfortable with that, but you probably will be paying full price or maybe a little bit more in a competitive situation. All right, the news just gets better. Please don't expect any like a laundry list of repairs to get made. You'll be able to do an inspection, but you really can only ask for major things to get fixed in this market. As far as timelines go, it's very helpful if you can be flexible. The same thing we were talking about, allow a seller to stay in the home post-closing for a little bit. Be flexible about when you can move. All of those things may be an asset for you when you're trying to find the place that you want. Basically, you want to make life easy and risk-free for the seller. And again, as a buyer, you're going to want to know your bottom line. If you are financing, you are going to have some closing costs on your loan that could be 4 or 5%. You also have out-of-pocket expenses for the inspection and the appraisal that could add up to $1,000 or $2,000. So sometimes buyers aren't prepared for that because they think I'm not quote unquote paying a buyer agent. All I have to worry about is taxes, but there are other closing costs involved, including homeowners insurance, lender's title insurance, and all kinds of things. And I'm more than happy to provide you guys with either a buyer's net sheet or a seller's net sheet if they're, something that you're considering that would be helpful. So very quickly wanted to toss in the advice about finding a great real estate agent. So you need someone who understands the market. You need someone who can simplify the process for you, educate you and guide you, as well as somebody with the experience and market knowledge to protect your investment. So on my team, we summarize this as reduce the risk, carry the load, and serve with enthusiasm. And if somebody doesn't look like that guy, if they don't look that excited about helping you through this process, you want somebody who's really going to make it fun for you, right? This should be fun. You've worked so hard to get, what you've got. And as a seller, you're supposed to be, really in control of the process. So you want somebody who's going to make it enjoyable for you. All right. So just to kind of recap, if a move is in your future, remember these are the things I would keep in mind. Number 1, put technology to work for you. There are some great improvements as far as signing contracts, how we can do closings, looking for your home, getting background information on the home, even doing home tours over FaceTime. Number 2, as a seller, how your home looks online is critical. That's what buyers will see and base their decision on. So a move-in ready condition is very important, even in this strong market. Number 3, as a buyer, be ready to move fast, write a competitive offer. Don't be afraid to compete. And if you are afraid to compete, find an agent who's going to be a bulldog on your behalf. And the last thing is, it is a historically strong seller's market. So if you do decide to move, you get to set the timeline and you get to set the terms. So that's fantastic for you. So thank you very much. I wanted to keep it kind of short so I could take any questions, and I'm happy to send you guys all my information and answer any questions that you might have.